so that's the thing. This is what's made me kind of a huge conspiracy theorist, is that if you're eating like this, you're not gonna be a good consumer.
Tara, how did you find carnivore?
Hi, Dave. Yeah, so when I grew up, I'm 38 years old. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and we all know the food pyramid and the diet and the snacks and the everything that was considered healthy, but we didn't really know how bad it was. Fruit roll-ups, you had a high fructose corn syrup everywhere, and it was ubiquitous. You look in everybody's lunch boxes, and there's like goldfish and sugars, and I guess it's still like that today, but back in the 80s and 90s, it was it was everywhere. And I developed what could only be called a full-blown sugar addiction very early. And so in middle school, it really started to affect me a little bit. I started to gain weight. Uh, I ended up with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which just it affects everything, not just like the lady parts. It affects everything. So I started to be insulin resistant. I started to gain weight, and it's like there's a whole bunch to that story, and it takes a long time, so you don't really notice. It takes a really long time for it to happen, and so addicted to carbohydrates. Like it's really all I could even think about was like I could never get full. I could never get full. I could eat and eat and eat and eat, and I could never just be satisfied. And so, when I was a kid, elementary school, middle school, high school, my mom started to take notice, like any good mom would do, and be like, "Hey, what can we do?" She thought I had maybe like binge eating disorder or something like that, and so she started to intervene. Like take me to therapy, which I needed it. Like I absolutely needed to go to therapy. Um, but yeah, just nothing worked. Nothing, it just kept, I was just hungry all the time and eating all the time and hiding food and sneaking food. And it's just like anybody who's ever been an addict for anything, it just takes over your brain, right? And so yeah, I was not skinny in high school, and back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was like that's a real problem. Right now, I guess everyone's used to just seeing fat people around, right? But back then, it was an issue, and I think I was probably 190 or 200 by the time high school was over, and then you get married and life moves on, and I did not know how to feed myself properly at all. And so, I'm eating bread, I'm eating candy, I'm eating popcorn, snacks all the time, eating all the time. And um you're like now it's just comparing it to now, like where I can just feel full all the time, like except when it's I just can't even like bring myself back to that headspace anymore. But for sure that's what was happening. So high school's over, get married, go to college, life moves on, and I ended up um being I was 106, or sorry, rewind, 265 pounds when I got pregnant. So I mean, so then my doctor had um issues with, she says, oh, you're going to get like gestational diabetes, and you're going to be, so she tried to get me to go low carb when I was pregnant. And it was a struggle, because I really hadn't addressed the addiction thing. And but I got through it. It was miserable, but I ended up not being able to eat or anything, so I ended up weighing less. But then I gained it right back. And I started I started teaching. I was a math teacher for 5 years, and anyone who's done that job knows how just insanely stressful it is to teach, especially high school, especially math. um, is a lot of weight on your shoulders, and you're carrying a lot of lives in your hands. And like for me, I felt especially responsible for a lot of people and their learning and their life. I just did. And so I took everything very seriously. I had no work life balance, and guess what was there waiting for me? Food. hmm And so Christmas time rolled around, Teacher Appreciation Week. There's sugar, sweets everywhere. They brought in the bundt cakes today. They brought in the cupcakes today. They brought in the most amazing brownies you've ever eaten. And yeah, I ended up being about like close to 290 pounds. I'm short. I'm 5'4". It did not feel like it. Was gaining that weight. It did not feel like it. And then I'd see a picture of myself and be like, "Oh no, honey," but I didn't know what to do about it. I was hungry all the time. Still, obviously, I like I don't need the food, but I'm hungry all the time. So all right, and so this was the summer after that happened, and in Florida, the teachers they have a 3-year temporary certificate. I was the end of my 3rd year teaching, and so stressful because you have to like get your permanent certificate. So I had to go through a whole class on top of the teaching, on top of the grading, on top of everything, and I that's when I ended up being at my highest weight, which was almost 290 pounds, and that I think that summer my mom, I was at her house. I was just hanging out with her, and she had started Carnivore, but this was back in 2018, and so it wasn't anywhere near as ubiquitous as it was now. So she says, "Tara, I have something for you." And I've been doing it for, I can't remember how long she'd been doing it. Um, but just how she introduced it, she's like, I have something that'll work for you. Um, I've been doing it for maybe it was a month at the time, and she told me about the mental clarity. She didn't have any weight to lose, not really, but she had just started doing it for her health, and she was experiencing like this amazing mental clarity and lots of energy. And she's like, "Tara, this will work for you. I've been doing it, and it will work." And I'm like, "That sounds not healthy. Like, you mean just eat meat? Like, just meat? Nothing else? What? Where do you get your fiber for? Like, aren't it's going to be unhealthy. Like, what about the cholesterol? What about?" And she's like, 30 days. Just 30 days. How much damage could it do in 30 days? And I'm like, you know, I tried everything. I went one summer where I was just like raw vegan. I was miserable. I tried calorie counting. I was close to 300 pounds running in 5Ks to try to get the weight off. I ran. I ran every day. I exercised. I tried everything and it would not come off. And I would always be hungry. And the more I exercised, the hungrier I was. And I'm like, well, I've tried everything. How much could this hurt? And I went cold turkey. Like straight from carbs all the time to just meat. And for some people, this works. I'm one of those people, but I do not recommend it because like you would guess, I was in the bathroom continuously. I had severe carbohydrate withdrawals, and it was a transition. But by the 4th day, I knew what she was talking about with the mental clarity because I was a math teacher and I was using my brain all the time, and I did not know what kind of a brain fog I was in. I didn't know what brain fog was. I didn't even know it. And I was in it all the time. You can't see the fog when you're in the fog. So I didn't I did lose weight pretty quickly, but that's not really why I did it. I continued doing it. Um, at first I was eating all the time. Like I'd have to have like some bacon with me. I'd have to have some boiled eggs. I'd have to have something with me because when the hunger would hit, I needed to eat something. I wasn't fat adapted yet, but it didn't matter. I still lost weight and I still felt great. I could eat and eat and eat, and it didn't stay on me. It would just disappear. Um, so I did that for probably 8 months. I did it into 2019, and I got down to about 205. And then when I saw that number get, approach having a one in front of it, I lost motivation because I didn't have my why yet. I thought, hey, you know, I'm I'm doing really good. I can start introducing stuff back in, and not realizing that as soon as you even just bring the vegetables back in, those have carbs, and not even realizing exactly how addicted I was. And so like things start creeping back in. And then life happens. I got divorced. I moved out. Huge life changes. COVID was a big one. But even then, still, I only gained like 20 pounds back, and I stayed there because I was. I knew what I had to do. I focused mostly on meat and vegetables, and I would bring in some other things sometimes, but just dinner was a meat and a vegetable. I never eat breakfast. The breakfast always upset my stomach. It's gone.
So COVID
So
came
yeah, there was
around.
COVID. Yes. Okay. So COVID was a big transition for everybody. I ended up having it 3 times, and I was really sick the first 2 times from it, but I recovered. It was okay. The third time I had it, this is where the weirdness starts. The third time I got COVID, I did not have any symptoms besides I had a Starbucks drink. I started drinking it, I could taste it. About halfway through, I couldn't taste it anymore. I'm like, oh great, it's coming. Like I didn't lose my taste the other 2 times, but I lost my taste that time. And I even like grabbed a pinch of salt and put it on my tongue, and nothing. There's nothing. I'm like, all right, here we go again. But by the time I finished the Starbucks drink, I could taste it again. That's it. That was my only indication I had COVID at all. But from that day forward, I could not get hot. Like I couldn't exert myself physically. And I'm always like a really active person. Like I said, I was, running at almost 300 pounds. I'm always really active. And I couldn't do anything. I live in Florida. Like the heat here is intense, especially in July and August. And I had a part-time job where I worked outside. I had to quit because as soon as I would get hot, I would get nauseous and I would get lightheaded, and the brain fog would come in, and I would get so sick. And then I would have to sleep for hours to alleviate those symptoms. And that was me for almost 2 years. And I can't tell you, like, going from a really, really active, overweight, but active person to not even being able to go outside for 5 minutes in the summertime. Like, I've never been that sick, and I never want to be that sick ever again. That first summer was very bad. I just slept. Like I couldn't be a mother. I couldn't take care of my house. I couldn't take care of myself. I could. It was all I had to go to work. I had quit teaching by that time, and I worked at the restaurant I work at now. And it was all I could do to work at the restaurant and go home, and that's it. I couldn't do anything else. Um, we have this little farmers market on Saturday, and I'm like, okay, I'll try to go to the farmers market. So get the kid out of the house, and 5 minutes. I had to go home and sleep for a couple of hours. And that's like some kind of chronic fatigue syndrome, or I thought it was long COVID. I don't have any good answers for what it was. But I had it for almost 2 years. And then in February of this year, I finally went to the doctor because I'm like, I can't live like this. Summer's coming around again. I can't do this anymore. And I finally went to the doctor because I thought, it's long COVID. What can they really do for it? And I'm just going to waste a bunch of my money, and they're not going to know. And and so I just maybe I was going to wait, but I finally did go to the doctor, and I explained everything. I had actually gotten diagnosed with ADHD because I had started therapy again. I got diagnosed with ADHD, which I've always had, but I've always been able to uh, be with a quickness, like take care of things in my life. Like my house is kind of messy sometimes, but like within 2 hours, I can bounce around everywhere and I can clean it, and it's it's okay. But when I didn't have any energy, and I couldn't handle anything in my life. I had gotten that ADHD diagnosis, which makes a lot of sense. It looks different in girls than it does in boys, and no one my age was getting diagnosed when we were kids. So, what they did for me was they put me on Wellbutrin, which is like an off-label ADHD um, medication, and that did nothing. That did not touch the ADHD. What it did do was make it killed all my cravings for everything. I'm a huge caffeine addict. I was a huge carbohydrate addict. I maybe drank a little bit too much alcohol, but that Wellbutrin, it killed all my cravings to where when I really actually found when I calculated how many calories I was eating for that week or so, I was maybe eating 500 or 600 calories a day, which is not sustainable. Just because I had no hunger, I had no drive to eat. And I don't recommend that medication. But that's what happened. Okay, so if the thought process was, I know what I need to do to be healthy. If I can only put 800 calories a day in my body maximum, they're gonna be good ones. It's going to be like whole foods. It's going to be meat. It's going to be eggs. It's going to be because I had that carnivore background before, and I just kind of slid back into it, back into carnivore. And we still had cheese. I hadn't learned about seed oils yet. I learned about those recently. Um, and then I just woke up. Um, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but I was in that brain fog again, and eating well just woke up my brain. And then I got a message from the doctor saying, you are vitamin D deficient. My vitamin D was at like 20 in the US units, which is very low. It's not low enough to be considered like fully deficient, but the more I know, you want to be 50 or above to, have the health benefits from that. So it's my theory that probably what happened is I got sick and I got long COVID, but then I stayed inside. I live in Florida. We have all the sunshine, right? Like people didn't understand like why I could be vitamin D deficient, but I couldn't go outside. I couldn't do it. And my diet was just crap. So it makes sense. So that started the explosion of health that I just suddenly had. So I was on the Wellbutrin for maybe 2 months before I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore because I had gotten just so healthy, so healthy so quickly. And when I started, I was up to over 260 pounds again in February. This morning, I'm 202 pounds. So that's a huge, huge weight loss in a short amount of time. Um, yeah, cold turkey, man. Cold. So I've done both. I've done cold turkey and I've done a slow transition. So it depends on your personality, which one is which. So this year and last year. So last year I was sick. This year I'm better. We have a music festival, and it's outside. It's in May, and it's on the beach. And last year, I really wanted to go because I've always been into live music. I've always loved music festivals, but I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's so hot. Like, I'm going to get sick. But I bought a VIP ticket, which cost way too much. I do way too much money, but it came with access to air conditioning, access to pools, access to food. Like, you didn't have to go too far. And just because I was so scared of getting sick in the middle of the festival. And it was okay. It wasn't that hot. I was able to do it. But this year, I bought a regular ticket, half price off of somebody. I was just out there in the heat in a bikini with the 20-year-olds just dancing, dancing to the music. I just explosion of health. And there's during one band, I actually started crying. Like I just broke down because like I'm so healthy. I can do this. I'm 38 years old and I'm out here with everybody. And even months ago I couldn't even like be in the heat. And so I don't really know what it was that made me sick. I don't really know exactly why I was sick. I don't really know why. Heat intolerance is not something associated with vitamin D or long COVID or anything. I don't know. The doctor was really confused as to why that was one of my symptoms, but it's fixed. And I can tell you, because of having done carnivore the first time and having done it this time I've put together everything. I've eliminated, because last time I still drank alcohol and I still had seed oils, and I got some benefits. So you can do it at any level, right? But I got some benefits from it, but nothing like what I'm experiencing now, because I put all those pieces together. I put together I just eat meat. I do beef, butter, bacon, eggs. And 2 weeks ago, I stopped drinking alcohol. I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. Um, I thought I would, but I don't. And I miss having something to do. I miss having somewhere to go. I miss going to a bar, everyone know my name. Like, I miss that, but I don't miss the alcohol. And the seed oils, I don't eat anything fried. If I fry something, I fry it in beef tallow or I fry it in butter. Um, but I don't eat anything that's been deep fried. And I can tell you, the more you clean up, the better that you're gonna feel. Um, so yeah, that's the story.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So day to day, how are you eating now?
So I work at a restaurant now. I work most days. So I like, because at the restaurant we have a gas burner, so I like how hot you can get the pan. So most days when I first get to work, I eat breakfast now somehow. I When I first get to work, I will fry up. I actually learned this from you. Half a pound of ground beef with eggs, and 4 eggs, and that's my breakfast. And then sometime when the business dies down a little bit, I'll bring a ribeye, and I eat ribeye cooked in butter, and that's what I eat most days. And I don't always finish the ribeye. I don't eat any when I get home, like, at all. And that's most of my days. And some days I go crazy, and like I'll have like raw oysters or I'll have salmon. But from day to day, that's my food. And I was doing just one meal a day for a while, but I had gotten several signals that I wasn't eating enough. Um, like, my hair started to fall out, and I went and I bought a bike. So this is another accomplishment. I bought a bike. I tried to buy a bike when I was sick, and I couldn't ride it because I couldn't handle it. But I didn't have a car that could take the bike, so I walked to the bike store and rode the bike home, and in the heat, in the middle of this was 2 weeks ago. I bought the bike 2 weeks ago in the middle of the Florida heat, in the middle of the day. I walked to the bike store and rode the bike home. I got almost home, and then I got really dizzy and I almost fainted. And that and the hair falling out, I kind of realized I'm probably not eating enough. And now I can ride the bike anywhere and I don't even get dizzy at all. So ever since then, I increased my food, because I just don't think I personally can eat enough in one sitting for my body. But most days it's the ground beef and eggs and then the ribeye.
Having been so addicted to carbohydrate, it must be very freeing to be at this point, whereas you can just, I guess you can
Yes.
look at carbohydrates and not feel anything now.
Yeah, I work at a pizza restaurant. There's nothing in that restaurant that I can eat, even though we serve a really good product. I'm very proud of what we do. There's nothing in there I can eat. Because it is freeing. So last month I went to visit my mom, and she lives on a farm, and like out in the country, and like the food stand, like the corn and all the produce and everything. I let myself go a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm on vacation. I'm gonna have a cucumber. I'm gonna have some corn. And Dave, I tell you, that started the addiction. That started it back. Like, I was only there for 4 days, and by the end of it, like, the first day I was good. The second day I let a little veggies creep in, and then by the fourth day I was sneaking food again. And this is after I've learned everything. And I'm not proud of it, but yeah, like, I could feel myself behaving like an addict again. And that's just from letting the vegetables creep in. And man, it's kind of
It's
embarrassing, because you I should know better. But it's
it's
a
pretty
learning thing.
scary that it can come back so quickly, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm. Oh no, go ahead.
Having just recently cut out alcohol too, it's like there's no way I could have cut out alcohol while still eating carbohydrates, like, because I'm not in that frame of mind. And I still do drink coffee, black coffee, um, but the cutting out alcohol being as easy as it was, I wonder if I can just do it. Like, I wonder if I can just get the last thing. But then that's the question, like, where do I go? Like, where do I sit in the morning? What do I do? And like, that's actually the biggest struggle, not missing the carbs, not missing the alcohol. The biggest struggle is, now what do I do? So I've just been riding my bike when I'm not, not at work. You like, to where, to buy what? So that's the thing. This is what's made me kind of a huge conspiracy theorist, is that if you're eating like this, you're not gonna be a good consumer, right? Like, you're not gonna go, and you're not gonna be buying all the time. So people will say, hey, that you eat ribeye every day, isn't it expensive? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not buying the sides, I'm not going out to eat, I'm not, like, I'm not buying everything else. So yeah, I spent like $15 on a ribeye in a day. Okay. But I'm not doing
Yeah,
anything else.
not a good
I'm not buying
consumer.
the
You're not a
alcohol.
good. You're
Yeah.
not going to the
I'm a
doctor
terrible
and getting
consumer.
prescriptions, that kind of thing.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to the doctor. I'm not sick. I was sick. I'm not anymore. Um, my goodness. I can't even tell you the difference. So I don't have body odor anymore. Like, people talk about this. I used to have it really bad, and I mean, I might get a light smell every now and then if I go, like, out in the heat and riding my bike, and I come back, I have a little bit of a lightness. But okay, I take a shower. I don't use soap in the shower. I'm getting to where I don't wash my hair every day. I am not a good consumer. I don't wear sunscreen. I don't get sunburned. And I used to get sunburned. If I just thought about the sun, my sun would turn red. It would take like 15 minutes to get a sunburn, and now I'm tan. I am, because I'm out in the sun all the time, and I don't burn, and I can be out there for an hour and a half, and nothing. I might get a little bit crispy and like my cheeks, but it'll be gone. Like, I don't burn. It's so weird. I think that's the not burning. I don't think it's a carnivore thing. I think it's a no seed oils thing, because last time I did this, I still had the seed oils and I burnt still. Um,
Right.
so I think that's more to do with like
Interesting.
going clean carnivore.
Mm.
Um, I don't
Um,
know exactly what it is. I'm not a doctor. I don't know why things happen. I just know they do.
so what do people around you think about this?
Um, at work, they thought it was pretty weird, because I will go into the dining room with my big ribeye steak. Sometimes it's a tomahawk ribeye, and I'll eat my steak, and they don't think it's weird anymore. I had one of my coworkers actually comment to me, because they could all see that I'm losing weight very rapidly. But one of them commented, "Tara, you're so much happier now." And so they can see the benefits. Like, they can see that I'm looking good, that I'm feeling good, that I'm happy, that I'm more bubbly. So they don't say anything anymore. One of them was like, yeah, I'm just gonna start trying that maybe. And I don't know, people, they don't really give it the time of day. um I really wish they would, because like, I don't even really know how to describe how different this feels as to how I was feeling before. I don't even really have the words for it. But then they think, oh, cholesterol, oh, that's not healthy, oh, I need fiber, and that's it. They just dismiss you. And I think that's part of like what they're supposed to do, because like, from what everything, all the health stuff that we've heard, huge. I'm a huge conspiracy theorist now, because what's we've been told is bad is good, apparently. Wear sunscreen. Why? you know, eat 11 servings of carbohydrates a day. Okay, we're all fat and sick now because that's what we were doing.
I always find this interesting how, we as humans are allowed to eat as much carbohydrate as we want. But if
Oh,
you go
yeah.
to like a petting zoo or whatever, it'll say, don't feed the ducks bread. Don't,
Oh, yeah.
it's
No, don't
bad
do
for
that.
them. And it's like,
It's bad
why
for
is it
them.
good for us?
I don't know, but it's not. um, but yeah. So there, but it's come with like a lot of other like weird benefits. Like I would walk upstairs and my knees would creak. They don't anymore for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't have arthritis, but they had creaky knees going upstairs. And that happened before I started losing weight. All this stuff happened before I started losing weight. And so it's not about the fat on your body. It's about stop poisoning your body so that it can heal itself. And you start to feel better so fast. I don't have like those scales in the bottom of my feet anymore for some reason. My skin, I got no acne. I had a little bit of like adult acne. My skin is soft, it's smooth, it's never been this way. I'm not buying creams and ointments for my skin. you know oh, you look at the commercials and it's like, oh, these are going to be middle-aged women, but look how good their skin is for our product that we no. You don't need the product, you just need to stop poisoning your body. Back pain was a big thing I dealt with. I went to the chiropractor when young adulthood. I grew up around a back injury. My brother jumped on my back in middle school, and it never grew right. I don't know exactly what was wrong with it, but I dealt with back pain my entire adulthood. It would go every 6 months or so. I would deal with a couple of weeks of it going out, and no, nothing. Not even. I feel nothing. I went to the chiropractor, and he's like, "Okay, do you know why you're having this back pain?" And I'm like, I'm here. You tell me. He's like, it's inflammation. He's like, you have all this fat on your body and you're inflamed. He got it backwards, right? Like he from what he said, the fat was causing the inflammation, which I find that that's not true, right? So I thought, okay, if I can lose weight, then I would have less back pain, but that's opposite from what it should be. It wasn't the fat causing the inflammation, it was the food causing the inflammation. And so now that my inflammation is, I have very little of it, my back's not gone out. So I actually was able to do this Pilates move the other day. It's called the jackknife, where you lay on the floor and you put your legs up over your body. I've never been able to do that before. I've been doing Pilates since I was 22. I've never been able to do that move. I did it 3 days ago and I twinged my back. The kind of injury that would have put me out for at least a couple of days, if not a week. And it's just it. It's just one twinge, and that's it. It's not moving. It's not radiating. It doesn't even bother me. I don't even think about it, and I can't. When I felt it, I'm like, oh great, here it's coming, and it just didn't. It just didn't. It's fine. I'm proud of myself for that, though.
Yeah,
I've
that's
always tried to
awesome.
do that move, and I've never been able to do it. So
Mm.
there's that.
So,
Um,
I'm interested in this move. It sounds painful just by the name. So it's like you're
you're
lying
lying on your
face
back,
down and
flat on the floor. You put
okay.
your arms out straight, and then you put your feet straight up, and then back, and then over your head.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And I've never been able to get
I
myself
won't
up
be
into that
doing that.
position. Well, it's one of those things that like was on my bucket list of things to do, because I can do a whole lot of the weird ones where you like go into like a starfish, where you're on one foot and one hand, you got other foot and other hand up in the air. I've always been able to do that one just fine. Um, but that was the one where even if I had help, I couldn't get myself into that position, and now I can. And I won't be doing it again for a while because I want that to heal. But I don't think it's going to take too long. I think I'm going to be doing it again. I'm not hungry right now. I haven't eaten today. I'm not hungry. I'm probably not going to eat today. I've been eating a lot, so I'll probably eat tomorrow.
How strange is it to be? in a situation like that where you've been sugar addicted before and it's now like, well, I just don't need to eat today. I'm fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's the main thing when I tell people what I'm doing, they're like, "That's so restrictive," and I'm like, let me tell you what's restrictive. What's restrictive is not being able to go outside, not being able to exert myself physically, not being able to even have the energy to just be present for my child. This is not restrictive. I don't hardly even think about this, hardly at all anymore. Ever since I cleaned up and I just eat those few things, I make sure I've got food when I want. I don't know. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Like I
So,
couldn't pass a brownie without having one, and now I'm like, okay, it's fine.
yeah. So, if you were giving a friend advice about getting started with carnivore, what advice would you give them to make it a success for them?
I would probably take into account their personality because, like I said, I've done both. I've done cold turkey and the slow transition. Um, if they're the kind of person that can deal with pain in the short term to get to something good, I would say like just stop. Just stop. But most people aren't like that. Most people don't want to go through the discomfort. I would say just start out by cutting out processed foods. Like what can that hurt? If you just shop on the outside of the grocery store and you get fruits and you get vegetables and you get meat and eggs and dairy, how can that hurt anything? Like just start like that and see how good you feel. And if that's fine, okay, um, cut out breads, cut out bread next, and then pasta, and then cut out fruit and see how you feel. Just go meat and vegetables, eggs and dairy. I can't do very much dairy right now. I don't know why. It just causes inflammation. I just cut it out, I guess. And it's easy to do now, right? So yeah, that's what I would say is just baby steps. Just cut out. Don't eat anything in a box. Don't eat anything with an ingredients label. Like, what? Just don't.
Yeah.
Start there and see how
That
you feel.
that's good advice. And yeah,
Yeah,
if it's got ingredients, then it's probably, it's probably not good.
right. Because even stuff that's just natural flavorings could just be sugar. Like that could. What is that? That doesn't have a definition. You don't know what that is. Um,
I always have a feeling when I see natural flavorings, it's like that's not natural at all. It's just they've
right.
been able to do this sleight of hand where it's like it tastes like natural ingredients or it tastes like natural
Mhm.
flavoring. Like not that it is
What
natural
is it? What
flavoring.
is
It's
that? I don't even.
yeah.
I don't think you have to define it. Um,
Hmm.
Another thing is at first, if you still need that taste of sweet in your mouth, like I did a lot of Coke Zeros at first. You know, if you need that to get you off the sugar and then wean down on that, just do it. It's not. You don't have to go clean right away. It's you just don't. You could just take it one step at a time and see how you feel. And if something's not working for you, add it back. It's it can't be worse than being fat and sick.
Yeah. That's very good advice. So, Tara, if people want to reach out to you, do you have social media or any way of getting in contact?
Yeah, I gave you my email, Tara and Matus at gmail.com.
Well, I'll link to those below. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dave. I love the channel. Like yours is the only one I still watch every day because I'm learning stuff from your guests that, it's not like I learned the beef and eggs thing from you, and I learned just different styles of doing it from your guests. And um, it's changed things up. Just I'll try something someone else is doing, and if it works for me, great. If not, whatever. So this is really important work, and thank you for all the interviews you put out.